Hello everyone, welcome back to another week. So today we are going to start our week 5. Okay, so congratulations, we almost finished week 4. So far we talked about basic database introduction, all right, architecture of database and relational model. So in this module, today actually we are going to continue our last module, module 3, where we are going to learn basic SQL. Okay, all right. So in last class we saw how to write create table statement query in database. Okay, um, today we are going to in this segment we are going to see how to write basic retrieval queries in SQL. By basic retrieval queries in SQL means, let's see, you have a database ready. So you have a list of relations, means list of tables, and you have like, and all the relations are populated with the data. Okay, all the relations are populated with the data. So having a populated data, how we can actually fetch some specific record. All right, so let me show you an example how a populated data look like. So in the in practice class exercise, we provided one example where we have actually like a example database state. So example database state means actually the data with all the relations, but with where we have sorry, a database state means actually the database where we have the list of tables, but each of the table has actually data in it. Okay, for example, I have couple of employees here, couple of department location. Okay, we have the information of which employee works in which project. Okay, then I have list of project, I have list of dependent. For a couple of employee has dependent. Okay, so the list of dependents is also in the tables. All right, now what if I want to fetch some record? Okay, so you have the data in your you have the database ready. uh, so I may want to see some specific record. For example, when you use UCD access, you want to see which course are being offered in the semester. Okay, which course are being offered in the semester, who is the instructor. You may want to find the course being taught by a specific instructor. Okay, or you may want to find a course with a specific topic. Okay, like that. So all kind of basic retrieval queries in SQL we are going to see in this segment. So the basic statement for retrieving information from a database is we are going to use a special statement, select statement. Okay, we are going to use select statement. So remember, these are only retrieval query, means any retrieval query, this is not going to modify anything from the database. Okay, so the select statement, the retrieval query, they are not going to they do not modify any record in database. Okay, so the basic retrieval query means the query that we are going to write using select statement, they are not going to modify anything in the database state will stay same. So by them we can only fetch record from the database. Okay, it's only for reading purpose. All right, so there is a important distinction between practical SQL model and the formal relational model. So in chapter 3, means in the last module, in module 2, we talked about formal relational model. Okay, so there is a important distinction between the practical SQL model, means how the SQL model has been implemented, and the formal relational model. So the SQL, it's known as SQL, as we talked about in last class, structured query language. SQL allows the table to have two or more tuples that are identical in all their attributes. Okay, so that was actually our one. Okay, that was actually our one concern. That was one feature for our formal relational model, that each of the record is going to be different. Each of the record is going to be different in a relation, in the formal relational model. But in the practical SQL model, actually, if you have a table, okay, and one table, if you do not have any primary key in the table, then SQL is going to actually allow to have two or more tuples that are identical in their all values. For example, let's see, I have a1, a2, and none of them are primary key. Okay, all right, you can have actually, I mean, in the practical SQL model, you can have a table without having any primary key. So if you do not have any primary key, you can have actually exactly identical two records in the table, and it is possible in the practical SQL model. So means actually, like, when we are going to insert record in our database practically, okay, in our MySQL database, so you will be able to insert completely identical record in your database if you do not have any primary key. Okay, but in the formal relational model actually says that every record has to be unique, because the formal relational model is based on set theory. Okay, all right, that just difference, because actually you have a theoretical model, but when we implement that, there is going to be something we have to actually consider, we have to compromise. Okay, so in the implementation of SQL model, it allows us to insert multiple records that are completely identical if there is no primary key. Okay, so that's why the SQL relation means the real table, like in the practical relation, in the real table is a multiset. Okay, or sometimes we call it like a bag. So bag is not exactly set, it's a multiset. We say multiset because there is a possibility of duplicate records. Okay, so SQL relations can be constrained to be sets by specifying the primary key or unique attribute. So I mean, you can make sure that every record is unique by specifying the primary key or unique attribute. Okay, that's what I'm saying. If you do not have any primary key, or if you do not have any attribute who has to be unique by unique constraint, in that case, in the practical relational model, you can have multiple duplicate records, identical records. What is a bag? So we are saying that a practical relational model, it supports the concept of bag or multiset, but the theoretical model is actually based on set theory. So in the set, we know that repetition doesn't matter. Okay, so in the set, we know that repetition doesn't matter. So ABA means actually AB. Okay, so in the set theory, the order and the repetition doesn't repetition, it doesn't allow. Okay, it doesn't allow repetition, and the order doesn't matter. AB or BA, they are actually same. Okay, so they are identical. Now a bag or multiset is like a set, but the element may appear more than once. For example, you may have actually the same record twice, like for example A is appearing twice in this bag. Okay, so ABCA is may not be exactly same as like ABC. Okay, all right, so that's actually the same concept. Actually the practical relational model allows multiple relation if you do not have any primary key or unique attributes. So basic retrieval queries in SQL. The simplest form of SQL statement is called the mapping of a select from where block. So it's a trio. We are going to use select from where. So one example we are going to here also we are going to use the company database schema. To see all kind of example, we are going to use the same database schema that we are being using for our relational model also. So the simplest format of SQL is looks like this: select attribute list, which attribute we want to see. From, we are going to say the table list. Where, condition. So the attribute list is a list of attribute names whose value are to be retrieved by the query. For example, you just want to know the name of each employees, okay, or you want to see only the name of the course, okay. So depending on what information you want to see, by depending on that you are going to select the attribute list. From table list. Table list is a list of tables or relation that you are going to need to process the query, okay. So you have to find out which table has those information, okay. Where, condition. Condition is a conditional expression, okay. Condition is a conditional expression. We know about conditional expression from our all programming language course, right? A conditional expression, it can look like for example, say x greater than 10, okay. That's a conditional expression. Like a equals to 20, okay. Generally in programming language we use this symbol 2 equal to symbol 20, but here actually we are going to use only 1 equal symbol, okay. So a conditional expression is a boolean expression because they are going to be evaluated to true or false. If the condition is true, okay, so if the condition is true, then that record will be fetched to the user. That record will be selected to the user, okay. So it is going to map to all the records from the tables, from the table list, and it will check whether the condition is true. If the condition is true, then for that record, okay, for that record, that attribute list is going to be selected, okay. So let's see one example, very simple one, and we are going to see actually how we are going to write the query and how we are going to come up the perfect query for the retrieval query. So one important thing is that query text ends with a semicolon, all right. So end of semicolon means one semicolon means that's the one query, that's one query, okay. First query. So this query one, when we are going to write this query one, it's like a question, so it's a plain English query, okay. It's a plain English query, and that's actually the SQL. SQL means structured query language, and that just English query means just English question in plain English word, okay. So that we have our here we have our company database schema, okay. So to find a query, what you need just the schema of the database, okay. You do not have to know which data you have in the database state, okay. All you need is to know the clear idea about the database schema, because you have to know which table has which attribute, okay, and you have to have the clear idea of all primary key and the foreign key information, okay. All the constant information, it's actually important to come up with the perfect SQL. Just again showing you the format: select from where, okay. Select attribute list, from table list, where, the condition. So let's see one example, very simple example. Retrieve the birth date and address of the employees. So what I want to see in company database, I want to know the birth date and address of employees, okay. So here the first thing is that it's a very simple query on one relation, okay. So the step one, find out which table we are going to need to find the information. So by looking at the database schema, I have to actually find out which table has the specific information that I need. I need the birth date and address of each employee. So if I look at the employee table, each employee has birth date and address. Here it. Okay. So if I use only one table, I can have actually all the information that is I need. Okay, that is I'm going to need. So that's the first thing. I have to find out which table I am going to need to find the information. I need only birth date and address. So only one table, I mean this table has both of them information, so means I need only one table. Which attribute we select? So looks like I need only birth date and address. Okay, so these are two attribute I need here. Okay, so two information I already got, that attribute list, b date and address. Table list, I need employee. At what condition? Okay, so is there a condition? So first of all, there is no condition from this query. There looks like there is no condition. I'm going to need actually birth date and address of all employees. Okay, so there is no condition. So what I can do, what I can write a query, if I don't have any condition, I can write the query without a condition. Okay, select, I have to actually specify the attribute list, and the all attribute list is going to be, it's important, we have to separate all the attribute list with comma. Okay, so list all the attribute with separate with comma. So two attribute I need here, b date and address. So remember, like SQL is it's very important. SQL is case insensitive. Okay, it's case insensitive. So case insensitive means the for the query, I mean you can actually have all caps, all mixed with upper caps and small caps, or all small caps, that's fine, but the name has to be exactly correct. So here the name is b date and address, so the name has to be exactly correct as the attribute list. Okay, the name has to be exactly correct as the attribute list, so it has to be b date comma, I'm separating it with comma, and address. Okay, so these are my two attribute list that I am going to select. Then from the table list, so here I need only one table, so I'm going to just do that from employee. All right, and I'm going to end it with semicolon. Okay,